What's going on? Rob Fish here, BikeBandit.com, and another awesome episode of Bandit Tested. Aaron has taken some time out of his busy schedule to give us his review, if you will, and break it down on Cortech Latigo WP boots. Aaron, welcome again. Thanks for taking the time out of your day.
Thank you.
And tell us a couple things. One, what are you riding? How many miles did you put on these? How long did you wear them? Commuting, riding, weekend jaunts through the twisties. Bring it on down, man.
Yeah, so I ride a 2008 Yamaha R1, mainly a sport rider. Most of my riding's on the weekends. You know, I like to do some fun canyon cruising, but I did a little bit of commuting also on this boot. You know, ride to work and whatnot. So, you know, for the most part, it's kind of a performance rider, and most of my gear is kind of performance tailored. These are considered a race boot, so they kind of fit that bill.
Pretty slick. Pretty slick. Compared to what you, because again, what we do is real riders with real gear and real riding scenarios. Mm-hmm. Your traditional boots you put to the side, and then compare these to your normal boot. What is your normal boot that you wear?
I normally wear a Dainese Torque out boot. Okay. Which is a nice, nice performance-oriented boot. And but obviously on the upper, end of the price spectrum,
for sure.
I think north of about $300.
Sure.
But what was nice about these are well under that. These are, I think about less than half what those cost. But they have a lot of the similar features. They don't vent quite as well, but then obviously they're a waterproof boot. That's kind of their thing.
Sure.
So that you have all the things that you would need, kind of performance ride or even ride on a track. You've got your external sliders, which are replaceable. You've got your vents. You've got the sliders that are on kind of both sides of the boot on the inside and outside. You've got the articulation here, which is kind of neat. You've got vents, a full Velcro closure like you would need if you were going to do some track riding or high performance riding.
Sure.
And they have all those features, but at a really great price point that you really can't compare the two.
Right.
There's a ton of value in these boots.
When you came down to feel, these are the same size as your Dainese boots.
Well, they are the same size. Yes. I felt like these ran a little bit tight, but they might have just had maybe a little bit of a break-in period.
Okay.
So a little tight, little tougher to get on and off. But again, these were also the other ones are more of a vented kind of a race boot, and these are a waterproof boot, so they have more insulation, which probably has a little bit to do with that.
So that Hypora liner on the inside maybe takes up a bit of real estate.
I think that's what it was.
Plus, maybe your other boots have the footbed already compressed, and so, I mean, there's so many variances with the thickness of the sock and et cetera, et cetera. But for the most part, you're pretty much spot on to what your traditional size is.
Pretty much, sure.
Right on. How about the weight of a boot? Because that can make a huge difference. All of a sudden,
that was a big difference. Yeah, that was the thing that stood out to me. As kind of maybe a downside of these boots. They are pretty heavy. They're quite a bit heavier than my other boots, and they're a little bulky.
Okay.
So I had to, work just a little bit more to get, my riding pants over them or whatever. And they're a little thicker, so it took a little bit of time to get used to, shifting the same way I normally do. They're a little thicker, a little taller.
So the toe box is taller to get under the shift lever.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. They're just not as thin of a profile, but again, that's something you're going to find in all boots. You're going to have to always adjust. One brand and one style of boot is not going to be the same as the other. So that was an observation.
How about feel on the rear sets, on the pegs? You're getting plenty of vibration, et cetera. Kind of what the bike is trying to tell you what's going on underneath you through the foot, or was the sole almost, like you're saying, a little bit thicker, a little bit bulkier, and thus almost muting a little bit of that transmission coming up to you?
I would go more on that side. Yeah, I think everything about these boots is a little bit bulkier.
Okay.
Than what I'm used to, so including the sole and just everything, the whole thing. And again, it's a waterproof boot, so you kind of have to expect that. You're not going to have as much of the perforated leather that makes it give a little bit more, or the ventilation and all that. But yeah, overall, the whole thing was a little bit bulkier. But then it's not necessarily a bad thing for what these were intended for.
With a waterproof liner, and again, that Hypora liner from Cortech, folks, that is waterproof and windproof from the outside in, yet breathable from the inside out, which is why that there's a vent right here, and you're thinking, how can a waterproof boot have a vent? And that's to allow your foot to actually breathe.
Vent, right.
Exactly. I mean, just from my experience and my know-how and knowledge of boots, obviously a synthetic material. Everything that you're expecting is double stitched, double stitched, double stitched, all the way. This is all double stitched, plus a water liner. You got some expandable panels. You obviously mentioned already the articulating heel cups, if you will, inside outside. It looks like a solid, pronunciation, if you will, on the heel cup as well as on the shin plate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and like you're saying, awesome boot, a little bit on the bulkier side, but you expect that in a waterproof piece.
Yeah, you could say it's bulky or you could say it's sturdy, which is definitely something you want if you might crash a motorcycle, which is what all this gear is all about. So not necessarily a bad thing, just a different, kind of a different take on it, slightly different style. Just a little bit bigger than what you might find in more of a slimmed down, kind of a European style boot.
Right. This is just a fantastically, maybe it's an obvious question kind of thing. Putting your feet down in intersections, plenty of grip?
Well, because of the kind of riding I do, I'm usually, cruising out in the canyons or whatever, so I didn't really kind of have to do that too much. I don't
Stop much.
Put my feet down too much.
Okay, no, but I mean, if you're commuting to work and stuff like that.
A whole different ballgame, yeah. You have to stop a lot and then all kinds of, oil and grimy spots and all that. This does have an oil and gas resistant heel, which any good boot should have.
Right.
It doesn't have a lot of tread, which you wouldn't expect in like a performance-oriented boot.
Right. I mean, it's not like a Vibram-style lug sole or anything like that. But
exactly. For a performance boot, it has the kind of sole that you would probably want in it.
And at that price point, I mean, essentially, you're getting a fantastic pair of boots for the same amount of money it costs to fuel up your truck.
Pretty much.
You got to obviously, take a look into, I don't want to call it apples and apples, but it's like, hey, you're getting a fantastic product with a lot of killer features at under $150, $170. Right on. Would you? And this is the key question: would you recommend them to a friend who was looking for a pair of boots?
I definitely would. These and the Cortech gloves that I kind of tested together. That's the thing. It really depends on the price point, which is what it all comes down to. You have a certain amount of money to spend. At the price point, you're getting all the features that you expect to find in boots that you're going to spend $250, $300 or more on, and you're getting them in a boot that costs about half that.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing. Cortech has done a really good job incorporating all the features that you need, especially if you're going to if you even plan on possibly doing some kind of track riding or something like that. You need all these features.
Right.
You can get these features in a really budget boot without having to break the bank, which is really good. Cortech's done a great job of doing it.
Nice. Well, right on, man. Thanks for your time.
All right.
Right on. See you in the twisties. That's Aaron. I'm Rob Fish. That, my friends, is the Latigo WP, that's waterproof, road boot, again, from Cortech. Rob Fish, BikeBandit.com. Thanks for joining us on this latest edition of Bandit Tested. Enjoy the ride. We'll see you soon.